Good evening. Welcome to another exciting edition of So Into Bourbon. This is Charlie. I'm Glenn as usual. And tonight we are on location again at this beautiful bar of a gentleman named David Gibson. David and Christy were kind enough to invite us in to their home to drink some bourbon.
We're excited.
What are we doing tonight, Charlie?
What are we doing? We're doing Peerless. Bam.
Double Oak. Okay, so Peerless Double Oak, 107.1 proof.
I love it.
Double oaked.
Love it even more.
Mash bill.
Stop, I can only go get so excited. What is the mash bill?
Undisclosed
Oh
mash
gosh darn it,
We don't know that.
Excited.
We don't know that.
Is it non-chill filtered?
It is non-chill filtered, as is all of Peerless bourbon and rye.
That's good, that makes me happy.
Yeah, so let's talk about Peerless just for a second before
Let's
we
do.
get into the Double Oak and to drinking this bottle. Peerless is located in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. They date back to
This is why we
the
get notes.
1880s.
To the 1880s.
Yes. Actually, Peerless started in the 1880s in Henderson, Kentucky. A gentleman by the name of Craver was the original master distiller. His great-grandson and his son in the past 10 years.
Yeah, about 10 years or so.
Recently started Peerless again. They were able to obtain the original Kentucky DSP number.
What is that DSP number?
50.
That's a good one. That's a good one to have.
It is.
That's how you know it's old.
The reason that it's good is because, from what I understand, the DSP numbers are in the 20,000s now.
Yeah, so a DSP number is like a license plate for a distillery. You're assigned a number when you start distilling from the government. The lower the number, the older your distillery is, at least in your state. So DSP 50 in the state of Kentucky means you've been around for a little while.
Absolutely. And about Peerless, so they're a grain to bottle distillery, so they do everything.
That's awesome. So what that means is they're not sourcing anything. What you're drinking out of their bottles is stuff that they've grown, that they've processed, that they've fermented, that they've distilled, and they've barreled and bottled.
Absolutely. Another thing that's kind of unique about Peerless is they use sweetmash process, not sour mash. They do not chill filter their whiskey, and everything they put out is barrel proof. They don't water it down, which we like.
These are all good things. And Peerless is really cool. It's just another kind of feather in the hat for the downtown Louisville distilleries. It's awesome distillery, great tours, really nice people. The bottle itself, in my humble opinion, is the coolest.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bottle.
It's just, and there's a lot of information on their website about how they came to create this beautiful, beautiful bottle. I love it. It's one of my favorite bottles in existence.
Yeah, and we'll get in a little bit more about Peerless and the master distiller as we kind of open the bottle and drink.
That's my signal to pour.
Yeah, let's talk about the double oaked. Supposedly, that was,
Gosh dang it.
speaking of pour, that was.
Ha!
So the double oak supposedly started as an accident. They had a barrel that was leaking, and to try to save the whiskey in the barrel, they dumped it into another barrel. And so the double oaked originally was only released as single barrels, and everybody liked it. And so they decided, hey, let's make something out of this. And now they put out a double oak that it's a small batch.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, I can't confirm this, but their small batch is 6 barrels.
That many. That's pretty small. That's the definition of small. And
Absolutely.
double oaked, unless you've been living under a rock, double oaked is extremely popular. Most distilleries, most brands have some form or another of double oaked or re-oaking, and we are here for it because it adds a whole nother level and layer of character and flavor to what is oftentimes already really good bourbon, taking it to that next level. So
Absolutely.
Super excited to try this one.
Let's get into it.
Shanty nose.
It's a nice color.
Really
really,
deep,
really
really
deep color.
deep.
You can tell it's a
Yeah.
barrel proof.
Yeah, really dark color too. No age statement on this, right?
No, no age statement. Cinnamon.
Cinnamon sugar. It smells eerily similar to one of my favorite bourbons, which is Old Forester 1910. It gives me serious 1910 vibes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not getting that.
Really?
I'll take your word for it.
That's what it reminds me of.
It's not,
No ethanol.
no, it doesn't have a big ethanol smell to it. And this bottle's been open for
Yeah.
a little while, so I wouldn't expect
But still, 107. I mean,
Yeah.
you should. All right, let's drink. Cheers.
Cheers. Man, it has a real, like, creamy mouthfeel.
Oh, man. I'm just going to hold this. Sweet and peppery up front. Just a little pepper, not overly peppery,
No, not at all.
and not overly sweet. And then really oaky. And really those kind of dark chocolate notes, that oak barrel. Man, I'm going to drink another
It's
drink.
oaky, especially on the finish, but it's not a really, it's not a real bitter oakiness.
Yep. And it, like you said, it's just on the finish. So you get that classic bourbon. It's sweet, kind of caramel. Man, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a little dry on the finish.
Yeah.
But
I think that's
again,
that-
it's not overly dry.
That's kind of that oakiness.
Yeah,
Right?
the
Like that
oakiness.
oakiness. And if you're drinking a double oak and you like that oakiness that is normally reserved for very old bourbons, we're talking 18, 20, 23. And what often happens or can happen with those older bourbons is over oaked, and where you lose a lot of the character. This is that best of both worlds, and why double oaked is so popular. I can still have my sweet and savory, I can still have my classic bourbon, but I get that oaky finish, and this definitely checks those boxes.
Yeah, I think you get, if you're a bourbon guy, I think you get everything that you would normally look for in a nice bourbon in this bottle. It's got to me, the most forward note is the cinnamon up front. A little bit of sweetness, but it's balanced out very well
Yeah.
by the finish, the dryness on the finish. And I'm starting to get some of the chocolates and the caramels now.
Crazy long finish on this too. I mean, it just sits on the back of your tongue and lingers and is really nice. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's a really nice offering from Peerless.
I'm getting a lot more of a lot more of the caramel on the nose now that it's sat for a minute.
Yep.
I'm getting a little fruit too, which is kind of surprising to me.
I'm not getting a lot of fruit. I still get that kind of burnt sugar, kind of the oakiness. But man, like you said,
Whatever it is, I like it.
yeah, it checks a lot of boxes. It really does. Now, Glenn,
Charlie,
what's MSRP on that bottle?
it's right around $95. What do you think about that?
Let me tell you what I think about that. Welcome to the new normal of the bourbon economy. There is, and I've talked to a lot of people in our area. Obviously, we're in the Louisville metro area, and there are a lot of people who really like Peerless and like the tour and like everything about it, but they can't get over that price point. And it is, you're in some rarefied air, or at least used to be. But I think that's the thing with this market, is that it's just the new normal, you know?
It is, and honestly, this is truly a craft distillery.
Absolutely.
It's a very small distillery. They don't put out a ton of whiskey.
They do not, and their limited releases are truly limited.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking for a daily drinker, unless you're rich, this is not probably going to be your daily drinker. However, if you're looking for a truly special bottle as a gift or something to have on your bar to really enjoy, and that's my celebration bottle, my treat yourself bottle, check out Peerless, because they have a lot of cool barrel finish bourbons and offerings as well.
They absolutely do. And if you're ever in Louisville and you're doing some of the bourbon tours, it's a great tour to do. A lot of times you'll see Corky.
Yep.
He'll be there. When I was there several months ago, we finished our tour. We were in the tasting room, and lo and behold, he pops in and bellies up to the bar and tells us some pretty cool stories from his lifetime.
And that's what you want, right? Like, that's why we're all doing this, is the experience and drinking something that's truly unique, you know, our native spirit that has a cool story and a cool backstory. And, you know, every distillery has that kind of backstory and that name, but to be able to go someplace and talk with the guy or the people who are actually making it and have done the work and has crafted the bottle, and you literally hear it from the horse's mouth, like, oh, this is made here. How do you know that? Because the guy who made it told me.
Right.
That's worth the price of admission.
And that's one of my favorite things about bourbon and whiskey in general. It's the history, the interesting stories about the people who are involved in it.
Yeah.
Corky tells a great story about growing up, and his dad sent him off to a military academy in Tennessee. And some of his classmates were, do you know the answer? Do you know the answer to this?
I do not know the answer to this.
The Allman brothers, Greg and Dwayne Allman. Actually, Greg, I don't know if Greg or Dwayne was his roommate.
Well, that's
Yeah.
flipping awesome.
So the stories you hear, you know.
Yeah, like, awesome. How can you not love bourbon after that story? I dare. How? No, seriously. Can I tell you my Peerless story?
Tell me your Peerless
I will
story.
tell you my Peerless story.
I'm going to drink.
You drink. I was fortunate enough to get Peerless their first single barrel rye. Barrel number one. And I drank it. And it was great.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Ain't that right, David?
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. Got it at a Total Wine. It was released at Total Wine in Louisville. It was a 2-year-old single barrel rye. And what made me purchase it, and I believe it was $80 or something like that. And my friends were making fun of me. Why would you spend $80 on a 2-year-old single barrel rye? And I said, because the bottle's pretty. and that's why I buy it. It was signed. And
You know, Charlie, and if we're all honest with each other,
what's
a
the
lot
first
of our
thing
purchases are highly based on what that bottle looks like.
Absolutely.
What the packaging looks like, and the marketing.
And I will tell you, I am so grateful that I did, because that's kind of what opened the door to Peerless and what has made me continue to kind of explore. So I am super excited about A, what they have offered now, and B, what's coming down the pipeline in the future.
Absolutely.
Because the future is very bright for us bourbonites. There's a lot of cool stuff coming.
So bright, you have to wear shades.
I should have my sunglasses.
You
I should have brought my
your glasses
sunglasses. So Glenn, what else do we need to say about
Are we going to
Peerless?
drink it or sink it, Charlie?
We're drinking it. We're drinking it.
That's an easy decision.
It's an easy drinker. Like I said, this is not a daily drinker. It's a $100 bottle. There's no way to... We get it, right? It's a $100 bottle. It's a special occasion bottle. It's a great, beautiful thing to have on your bar, to have for special occasions, and if you have friends over. So,
Okay, so knowing obviously that it's not a sinker, it's a drinker. Let's rate it. So scale of 1 to 10, taking everything into account, the value, the presentation, the taste, the proof.
I'll give it
1 to 10.
I will give it, and this comes from me, Charlie Jenny, so it's worth nothing. But Charlie Jenny gives it a solid 7.5 out of 10. And I would give it probably an 8.5 or 9, but it's a $100 bottle. So 7.5 is what I give it.
That it's funny you said that, because 7.5 was exactly what I had in my head. So I was thinking you were going to come in at 7, and I was going to jump in with my 7.5.
No,
but you
7.5.
So
7.5.
Anyway.
That's what it is. And very good pour. And I am excited because we will do many more episodes of Peerless's offerings, because we have readily available access to them. So good for us, good for you.
So once again, thank you to David and Christy Gibson for having us to their beautiful bar.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget to join our Facebook group, So Into Bourbon, Instagram, So Into Bourbon.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, the YouTube
important.
channel. That's very important.
Follow Glenn as The Whiskey Realtor on TikTok. It's just Whiskey Realtor, by the way.
Get it right.
Sorry. And what else?
That's it.
That's it,
man.
So until next episode, as always, don't forget.
Keep your bunghole tight.
See you next time.
Did y'all just start the bunghole thing?
We don't know. Glenn did.
Weird.
I'm double blue. I know what I'm doing. We're going to go by what the guy on the tour said.
Yep. I'm going to throw him under the bus.
Whiskey.
You ready?
Hey, I was born ready. On location, so in a bourbon, Peerless Double Oak, take 694. Action.